Hey guys, Steph here. So after so many demands and lots of requests for a brow tutorial, which cracks me up every time I hear that, I'm finally going to do one. Please note that I am not a makeup artist. My sister is. She's amazing. I feel like I've picked up some fun tips from her along the way. But honestly, as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of amazingness going on with my natural brow. I have the rest of my makeup on, but I left my brows totally bare for you guys. So I'm going to show you exactly how I work with what God gave me, which is kind of sparse, crazy growing brows. And I'm going to show you my little tricks and tips on how I work with my natural shape. First of all, my biggest piece of advice is to find a great brow shaping studio, an esthetician who specializes in brow shaping, not just waxing or threading. I've definitely made some mistakes going to people who I didn't, check their references and didn't know about their reputation or anything like that. And as a result, I'm left with some kind of funky growing little patches where I over tweezed or over waxed or over threaded for lots of years. And now, thank goodness for good makeup. My very favorite pencil is actually from Sephora, just the Sephora brand waterproof pencil. And I use the nutmeg brown color. It's kind of like a warm brown, goes nicely with my hair. So definitely a brow studio will help you kind of match your brow to your hair color or your natural brow color. And that's a really good place to start because everybody's brows are different. And, that's why I guess I've kind of hesitated making a video because I'm like, my brows look different than everybody else's. Everybody has beautiful eyebrows. So we just kind of have to learn to embrace what we were born with, but also learn how to shape it so that it really accentuates our face and our features. So one of the biggest tips that I've learned from the person that I will only go to for my brows, if you're in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area or anywhere in the Valley in Arizona, Olga Brow Studio on Scottsdale Road at Saatchi Salon. She is incredible. There's lots of trained professionals at the studio and I swear by them. I won't go to anybody else. And the biggest thing is from the tip of your nose, you want to kind of cross through. I'm not totally straight on. So you want to cross through your eyeball from the tip of your nose. And that's really where your arch should be. So you can see that that's pretty much where it is. And really both of my brows are pretty different. But even from the tip of my nose and through the middle of my eyebrow, you still find my arch. So since we're all asymmetric, we're not perfectly balanced on each side of our face, our brows are going to be slightly different on each side. So as my sister would tell you, your brows are sisters, not twins. So, and for sure every day is a little bit different too, especially when you're filling them in. So I'm going to cut to the chase and I'm going to actually do my brows and show you what I do. So I've got my pencil. I use just a Sonia Kashuk brand brow brush got it from Target. So I kind of comb my brow, brush up my brows and just work with the natural shape. My brows, as you can see, grow straight up in the front, which is kind of funny. And then they're kind of like all over the place. So this one's a little less sparse in areas and then a little more sparse in other areas. So they're super crazy. What you see in my selfies and other pictures are fully filled in brows. I do not wake up with those brows. I wish, but it's what makeup is for. So sorry if I'm like looking off to the side. Camera's here and my phone is horizontal right now. So you guys should see this. I have like a stack of books and it's kind of hilarious. So to get the shape too, like for in-between shapings, because I probably only go get my brows done professionally, I would say like every 3 months maybe on average. So I kind of do upkeep on my own. Obviously I follow the shape of what, my esthetician has told me not to touch. And so I leave that alone, but I'll get really close up here. You can just see that, there's some little places where I have to tweeze overgrowth and stuff like that. And then these pieces, sometimes I'm not going to do that here because I don't have a good mirror in front of me. But sometimes I do kind of trim just the tops of my brows since they do grow kind of funky. So once I've got my brows brushed up, this is so funny. I feel like this is such a long time coming. First of all, I start with, this is going to be interesting here. So I'm not going to look at you guys. I'm going to look at my brow. So first I start with drawing the line. This is not easy without a real mirror. So that's really like a big open spot right there. And I just kind of keep a straight line going from the tip of my brow over here and just keep on filling it in until I've got a good solid line that really kind of shapes all the way over to my arch. This is probably where I fill in the most. I've got another camera back behind. This is gonna be kind of tricky. We'll see what we end up with. So I probably do my thickest like penciling in right here in the middle because that's probably where my biggest bald spots are, if you will. And then over here too, I've got lots of little pieces. The biggest tip too with like using a pencil, I know everybody uses different kind of products, but for me, I really like a pencil and just use really light brush strokes. Like you don't want to press all the way down. I just kind of like feather it as if it's like a piece of hair that I'm drawing on. So you're kind of just filling it in and the color sort of attaching to all of the little hairs that you know, aren't long enough to really help with the actual shape of your brow. So I just sort of do that and fill in here, mostly in the middle part. And then I'll sort of get a line going too on the top. Again, that's just what works for my natural shape of my brow. But you can tell, I mean, really the difference between my brows right now, just getting that line from the tip to the arch, really setting the tone for the shape of the brow. And then what I do is kind of bring my arch up a little bit since I've got some funny little hairs up here that you can barely see since my brows are pretty light actually. So, and this is where I get more of my arch too with a pencil. I really try and fill in the shape. And again, from the tip of your nose through the middle of your eyeball, if you're looking straight on, there's your arch. So that's kind of what I try and work with. And I'm probably going to fast forward here just so you aren't having to see every single minute. So once I've got that, obviously I'm just one brow down right now, but I'm pretty much done with my left brow. And what I really encourage you to do after you, especially with a pencil, because you can have some pieces that look a little bit heavy if you know you press harder in some areas, is really take your brush and like it kind of blends in the pencil, and especially if you're like filling in with a powder too, it really helps kind of keep some areas from being too concentrated. I just think it gives it more of a natural look when you brush through it and spread out that color. So I will move on to my right brow so I can be even, but you can totally see the difference and what a difference it makes to fill in your brows. It's like if I was stuck on a desert island, I would need my brow brush and my brow pencil and some water, I guess, to stay alive. So anyway, right brow. So I'm pretty much done. As you can see, like really, if you really study someone's face, brows, like I said earlier, they are not totally symmetrical and totally even. And every day I will have one brow that almost looks better than the other. They never, well, I shouldn't say never. Some days I'm like, yes, both brows look good today. But a lot of the time it is one or the other, and it just happens because just like the hair on our head, we have growth patterns. So we lose hairs and hairs grow back. All of those things happen. It's natural. And I definitely probably should have trimmed this one a little bit. We've got some crazies right there, but we're gonna roll with it. And that is about it, my friends. I don't even know if you guys liked this, but I've been asked so many times to do one of these, so I thought it was just finally time to make it happen. And so I left my brows not on just so I could show you how I do them. Maybe one day there will be more makeup tutorials in the future. I am, again, no professional, but it's just fun, and I just like to work with what makes me look better but still natural. So a better natural version of myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.